Hi, this is Joanne Phillips, and I'm here in New York City on it's a little bit of a cold and windy and rainy day, but it's not snowing here in November, so we're pretty happy. And I'm sitting here with two amazing people in the world of music and the arts, Grant Maloy Smith right here, and Eileen Bluestone Sherman, and they are the co-founders of the Indie Collaborative, also known as the Independent Artists Collective, an organization that they started in 2015 with an amazing mission. I'm going to join myself. It's an international group of more collaborative, independent artists in the music industry, from musicians, songwriters, music management, and so many other aspects of the industry itself. And their main goal is to inspire unique and wonderful support amongst music artists of all genres who are independent artists who actually earn their living doing their craft, which is, I know many people think you have to be famous. I think I could speak for all of us. If you can earn a living just doing your craft, that is a miracle. And being famous is actually being infamous, I think, is even better. So there's a whole bunch of things I want to touch upon. Just a quick little bit about both of you. And then we're going to talk about what's coming up. You were born in Florida?
I was, yeah, in
Okay.
Jacksonville, Florida. Then I grew up mostly on the panhandle of Florida,
Okay.
what we call
Still have that accent
lower
a little
Alabama.
bit?
A tiny bit.
Yeah,
It's mostly
a little
gone, but
bit. Okay.
I could turn it way on if you want.
Yeah, whatever you
No
wish.
one would be able to understand me
Oh,
up here,
we are in the
but,
southern part of Manhattan? then that
Southern New
accent
York.
is called for. American singer, songwriter, musician, former businessman,
Yep.
and we'll touch upon that in a moment. In your earlier career, a bunch of awards. 2017, we're looking at Best Male Americana Artist at the Indie Music Channel Awards. Co-producer of a Grammy Award-winning album by jazz artist Ted Nash.
New Yorker.
Or another New Yorker. We're looking at Best Folk Artist at the Indie Music Channel Awards in 2016. That's just to name a few. One thing I'm going to ask you right off the bat, though, is how did you like being on the TV show MythBusters as yourself? What they make you do?
I had to disassemble myself on camera. No, I was. That was when I was a business person,
Okay.
and I ran a company that made scientific measuring equipment. So
Yes.
they used some of our equipment on the show. So they invited me to go on there and hang out with another guy named Grant Emmy is used to be one of the hosts of that show.
Very nice.
very
Okay, so
smart.
that's what you did there. So we'll have to have a talk about resistance and inductance decade boxes
Yes, we did.
at another time, because it's my
But Grant
background.
Emmy told me that all people named Grant are geniuses, and so I can't disagree. Would be unwise, I think.
And now over to my other side here, Eileen Bluestone Sherman. Thank you for being here
Well,
today.
thank you. My pleasure.
Where does the Bluestone come from? Is there any
Well,
significance?
Oh, well, sure. The Bluestone, my dad's name, a maiden name. It comes from a little village on the border of Austria and Poland. Then, many years ago, before my grandparents came here, and it was a little village named Pigeonidgeon. And
Really?
yes. And most of that village actually landed in Pittsburgh. And because there was a club called the Pigeonidgeon Club
Wow.
of all the villages. And but Bluestone must have been, probably it was Bluestone, and when they got to Ellis Island, somebody said Bluestone,
Sure.
and that became my name.
Very
So,
interesting origin.
thank you.
Playwright, lyricist, author, children's author,
Yes.
TV writer, a theater producer, Emmy Award winner. Congratulations on
Thank you.
all of that.
Thank you.
I don't know where to start first. I'm going to jump around a little. 1982 was the first musical for children for Hallmark's. It was just coterie theater.
Yes.
How'd that come about?
Okay, well, my husband and I had moved to Kansas City. We're originally both from the East Coast. I grew up in Atlantic City. Your viewers who know the Monopoly game, I grew up on Atlantic Avenue. You know that.
The yellow one. I
That's
think,
right,
yeah.
yellow,
Okay.
and absolutely. And my mom's from Brooklyn, born and bred Brooklynite. But we moved out to Kansas City as a young adults with starting a family, and I went to audition for a new children's theater called The Coterie at Hallmark, because Hallmark had just put together this magnificent, basically center for everything, and they had a children's theater, and I started my career there, and that led into my books, and that led into television in Chicago, and that led into me coming back to New York and working with the Broadway community.
Yes, wonderful.
Yeah.
Just amazing. Tell me about Odd Potato, the picture book, and I think that was having to do with the CD
Well,
as well,
Odd
right?
Potato, I realized next year will be its 35th anniversary since this story just emerged.
Wow,
Again, it had, thank you, it had its origins in Kansas City. Someone asked me for a public access television show to write a story, and I thought of my dad's true story. The Odd Potato is based on my father's true story when he was only 6 years old. His own father died. He was a very, very poor child of the Depression, and of course the Odd Potato is a picture book for Hanukkah. And my dad every day went to the synagogue to say the mourner's prayer, and Judaism became very important to him. And so now there was this little boy, 6 years old, asking his mom, my grandmother, I want to have menorah at Hanukkah to be able to light the candles, and she had no money at all, and but she used her imagination. And she took a potato, which of course was, my dad always said, the cheapest commodity possible, and she made a menorah for him out of the potato.
Out of a potato.
Yes, and I heard this story every year growing up, and it wasn't until I became a mother that I realized how poignant this story was. As a little girl, went in one ear, out the other,
Sure.
when are the presents, you know. But as a mother, I really understood what this meant. And when I was asked to write a Hanukkah story, I thought of my dad's story. The Odd Potato is not actually my dad's story, but it inspired, and it all pivots on a little girl thinking of a potato, of using it to make a menorah, and she basically brings her family together. So that's
amazing.
What it is. And it obviously struck a chord because it went from a picture book to a community show that lots of synagogues and JCCs all around the country have produced, and then it went to television, won the Emmy Award.
Right.
Then it became Broadway Sings the Odd Potato here in 2003 with the late Frank Gorshin and the late Charlotte Ray, and then we did a really wonderful charity project. We partnered with Variety, the children's charity of Kansas City, and we got 20 Tony Award winners, the major players of Broadway. And they all came in. Judd Hirsch narrated, and it's like listening to a little mini musical on CD.
That is extraordinary. All starting with the beginnings of what becomes a latke,
Yes,
the potato latke in Hanukkah, right? I know you have some, wonderful awards to your acclaim as well. We're looking at, of course, the 2 Emmy Awards, and the National Jewish Book Award,
Yes.
the International Reading Association's Teacher's Choice Award, which I think is wonderful, and because this is all pointed in the direction of education, and that's extraordinary. Is it true that when you were a little girl, you used to love dancing around at home to Hernando's Hideaway? Is that what inspired you?
I did. I actually did. Yes, it is very true. Now, I've been a big Bob Fosse fan since I did not know who Bob Fosse was, but I was his fan, and yes, I did.
Well, it's nice to see what sparks people's interest, especially when they're young and as children. But back to the collective. What made you start this group?
Well, Eileen and I, we sort of had a parallel path there. We went on parallel paths and came together one day about three and a half years ago. We had both been meeting with other, mostly Grammy members like we are, around the country. There's a bunch of sponsored events that the NARIS, the organization, holds.
Yes.
NARIS is the group that puts on the Grammys. And we just liked that. We liked meeting our colleagues and our peers, and it really expanded our worlds dramatically. All of a sudden, we had all these friends in different genres all over the country, and I think once we got a taste of that, we just had to have more. We wanted to create something, and it didn't just have to be Grammy members, but all musicians and music industry professionals, where we could come together once in a while, and even if it's just a casual having lunch, or if it's something more elaborate, like we put on a show at the Bitter End last summer, and we did another one here at Feinstein's 54 Below back just before the Grammys this year. We're going to do more next year in LA and so on. So it took on a life of its own. And one day, I think 3 years ago, 3.5, we met at the Grammys and we both started telling each other what we wanted to do, and we both realized we had the same idea. So a few months later, it was born, and we did the first event here in New York in 2015, and it was an immediate success, and we've just tried to keep it going ever since.
That's extraordinary, and in a relatively short amount of time,
Yeah.
this has grown to
From 60
a
people
minimum
to
to
2,000
20,000, actually, is what I'm
Like
finding.
And all around the world.
Well, they're putting extra zeros in all of
Sure.
your press. No fake news here.
It'll be 20.
And it's a global organization
Yes.
at this point, which
Members
just
from
shows
every-
you.
all continents, well,
Right.
maybe except Antarctica.
Yeah.
We tried to get the penguins to come in on it, but they just wouldn't do it. But
Haven't given up.
every other continent we've got people.
November 19th, you have an event coming up at Carnegie Hall, and I think
Yes.
it's your debut
Yes.
at Carnegie
Yes.
Hall and something like this. That is also going to be an extraordinary event, and I would have to say, it's a major notch in the guitar case, I guess I would have to call it, for your organization, for anyone who gets to go there. It's featuring, is it Wouter Kellerman? Am I saying
Wouter.
Wouter Kellerman?
Sorry, because
Kellerman,
he's from South Africa, where they speak a version of Dutch,
Okay.
Afrikaans, and so a W, like in German or Dutch,
Yes, okay.
a W is like a V, so it's Wouter Kellerman.
Okay.
Even though it looks like
Wouter.
Wouter.
Right.
But so Eileen and her sister are presenting their great Broadway works.
Right, and I understand. So it's featuring Mr. Kellerman, yourself,
And
and the work of the Emmy Award-winning Bluestone sisters.
Mhm.
And this is going to be performed by many major Broadway musical stars
Yes, a
at
whole
this
bunch
event.
of them. Voter's also he's a Grammy-winning artist, a world music artist, and incredibly entertaining. When people say, when I tell people he's a flute player, they go, oh, he's going to be like in a tuxedo and he's going to play the flute, and I'm going to be bored out of my mind, and nothing could be further from the truth.
Yes, yes.
From
Okay.
South Africa, and the music is percussive and it's engaging and it's
Oh, wonderful.
so
a lot of
exciting
energy.
to watch, and it's world music.
Right, and so this is world music, I believe also. It's musical theater
Oh, yes.
and Americana roots country. So all these different genres are represented there. Tell us what's coming up next after that.
After Carnegie Hall, or you want to?
Right. Well, after Carnegie Hall, and this happens every year here in New York, but this year we're returning back to LA. It will be the Grammy Awards, and that always attracts a great number of our Indie Collab members from all over the world. It's a great reunion for all of us, and Grant and I are now in the middle of planning that, because we will have one of our major events, and what's so great about that is that, and that's where each person gets to really express what he or she does musically, professionally, and the greatest collaborations in the coming year will just take off without anyone really knowing how or why that happens.
Okay.
But somebody
That's a
just
chemistry.
kind of inspires. Yes.
Yes, and isn't this something you've been doing, correct me if I'm wrong, in LA, in the, I guess in the winter here, and in
Yep.
summer
Well,
here
we
in
did
Manhattan.
Chicago, we did in Atlanta, we did in Philadelphia, we did in San Francisco,
Nashville.
Nashville.
Okay.
So we've done that all over
So this is
the
expanding
country.
as we sit here,
Right,
quite frankly,
right,
because
right.
it went
And some
from
of
a few
and-
hours ago just to the two coasts, and now it's
Right.
everywhere in between.
Some of our British members really want us to get over there as
Yeah.
well, and one day that's what we're going to do. We're going to take these, and these events are really special because you go from one person to another, and they perform, and everybody just gets 5 or 6 minutes,
So I understand, yes.
and it's really quite
It's a showcase
incredible.
and a promotion
Yeah.
Right.
Quite incredible.
to a national audience.
Well, with these
Right.
these Indie Collabs like this, with the 5-minute performances, are really for us, for we Indie Collab members.
Okay.
Although the public can come, but we don't promote the show.
Okay.
But the Carnegie Hall one is a special one. That's a different one. It's
Yes.
the first time we're really bringing the public in to see an Indie Collab. So we have to limit it to a few artists. So we're having 3 of us perform with our groups. But the normal Indie Collaborative event has maybe 20 or 25 different acts from
Wow. Okay.
people all over the country, all different genres.
So where can people find out about the Indie Collaborative, or the website?
Yep, we have a website, indiecollaborative.com, just the way it's INDIE, collaborative.com. You go there, you can read all about us, you can watch some video from previous events, and you can join. And it doesn't cost anything to join. You don't have to be a member of the Grammys or anything like that. There's no connection to that. So if you're a musician, you want to be a professional, it doesn't matter whether you're on the first rung of the ladder or you won 5 Grammys.
And I understand it's either for performing musicians or even someone in music management.
Or just writing. If you're just a music writer and you're not a performer, that's also, maybe you just write lyrics, or you only compose, or you are a music manager or a photographer who does headshots for that kind of thing.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah, could be industry professionals as well as the artists themselves.
That's how we've allowed everybody to connect within the music industry. It's really rather exciting. I mean,
Yes.
Grant and I get excited each time this whole group. We always wonder, is it going to come off? And then afterwards we say, oh my God, this was so phenomenal. And we never know. It's really a surprise.
Well, then you know it's a labor of love when you start to feel like the hair go up on the back of your neck and that wonderful. Well, that's goes with the territory.
Yes.
Gotta say, the good with the bad. You know, I always feel people should embrace that nervous energy. Like some people don't like it, but I always feel take it and use it.
Yes,
you know, without a doubt. So again, we're talking about November 19th, 2018.
Get your tickets.
Get your tickets to Carnegie Hall. I think it starts at 8 o'clock.
Yes, the show's at 8.
Okay.
It's general admission too, so if you can get in the front row if you get there early.
Get there early. I'm going to camp out right by the front door.
And get your tickets today. If you join Indie Collab, you get a discount too. So join Indie
I'm
Collab.
joining on the way home.
CarnegieHall.org, and we'll give you a code you can use too.
And whatever I can do to help promote.
And one more, can I mention one more thing about Carnegie Hall?
Yes.
We're having your ticket to Carnegie Hall for our show will get you into our after party, where you can meet the performers.
Such a deal.
And we're not going to even tell where it is until that night. So
smart.
We're not stupid. So get your ticket. Right from the stage, we're going to tell you where to go after the show, and we're all going to have a great time, probably until way too late that next morning.
Well, this is again an amazing organization. The fact that it's grown so quickly globally.
Yes.
Wonderful to have a place for our music community, in every aspect. Again, from management to performer to commiserate, network, and it doesn't cost anything to join. Right. And look at this, you can free it into Carnegie Hall and the after party, which is a secret location after party. You can't beat it.
We're going to do. I think Dick Cheney's there still. At this hidden location, we're going to have
not such in politics. No way. Well, thank you again. I'm sitting here with Grant Maloy Smith. I'm sitting here with Eileen Bluestone Sherman.
Thank you.
Here in Manhattan, getting ready to have it's coming up soon, about a week or two. 2 weeks from today at Carnegie Hall. I wish you well. I intend to stay in touch. Thank you for taking the time. I know you have a busy schedule with all that you have to do. And this is Joanne Phillips coming to you all the way from out there in the Jaybird universe for the U.S. Press Association. You know, if I don't do this, they're going to start complaining. I got to throw them out. So I'm sorry.